Hello guys! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph and today we are getting into my August wrap up. Now, I say this almost every time I film a video. I would like this to be a short and snappy video. I would really love if I didn't ramble on for an hour. So let's just get straight into it. Now, there was no rhyme or reason to any of the books I chose this month to read. Most of it was just vibes. So let's start. The first book I picked up was Sick Boys by Clarissa Weil. I picked this up because, as I mentioned, I think in my last wrap up, I was in the mood for a Why Choose reverse harem situation romance. This was that without the romance. This book follows a girl. She has a sister goes to a university, gets involved with the wrong people, ends up killing herself, and our main character, whose name I don't care about, FMC, she decides to go to the university and investigate because she's positive someone pushed her sister towards suicide. Her sister wouldn't have just done that with no reason. So she goes to this school and she gets involved with these three boys that are part of the Skull and Serpent Society, and she thinks that they've got something to do with her sister's death. So she kind of says to them, or they kind of strike up this deal. She goes, "You're gonna help me figure out what happened to my sister, and I will basically be a body for you to sleep with whenever you want." And they all agree to this situation. And at some point in this book, I guess they fall in love. All the guys fall in love with her and she them. I don't know. I didn't love it. It was literally, there's one tab, right? That tab is the first time something happened in this book where I went, "Aw." I get that this is a dark romance. I understand that, but it definitely wasn't really the vibe I was looking for. And in all honesty, I think I'm going to unhaul this book. Did I highlight? Damn it! I highlighted. I might try and sell it anyway because yeah, I don't want to get into it, but I just don't really want this book on my shelves anymore. So that was that. Then I decided to pick up something a little bit shorter, a little bit snappier, and it is Earthlings by Sayaka Maruta. Now, this book is by the same woman who wrote Convenience Store Woman, which I didn't love. I liked it, I didn't love it. But this book I've heard was super disturbing, and people thought that the cover is really cutesy and they didn't expect it to be as disgusting as it was. This book just made me sad, I'm gonna be honest, okay? This follows a girl. We are following her when she's, at the very start, we're following her when she's a child. Her name's Natsuki, and Natsuki, she thinks that she is a wizard. She thinks that she has magic powers, and she has this little hedgehog toy, and he is from a different planet, and he's the one who tells her that she's a wizard. And Natsuki, as a child, is just so sad. She is not loved. She's not wanted. She's not cared for. Her family doesn't respect her, doesn't see her as a living, breathing human. They treat her like absolute fucking shit, which really infuriated me. But Natsuki luckily does have a kindred spirit in her cousin. I think his name was Yu. And Yu actually believes he's an alien. He thinks that he was dropped on Earth, and one day his alien parents are going to come and take him back to his actual planet where he belongs, which then kind of convinces Natsuki that that's exactly what's happened with her as well. So she's convinced that they are both aliens, they do not belong on Earth, and they're just waiting to be picked back up so they can go back to their real home. Then we time skip after something happens within the family. We time skip to when she's an adult and she is living the normal life, and things happen and she ends up reuniting with Yu. And while I will say that this book was definitely gory, especially towards the end, there were things apart from gore. When people said that this book was disgusting and gross, I thought they meant physical body horror. That is not the case. I would say definitely check your trigger warnings for this one, because while I never check trigger warnings for books because books don't really affect me like that, I can see that a lot of people would need a warning for this book. So, but I actually enjoyed it, if that's the right word. I didn't love the ending, but as you will see throughout this book wrap up, there were a lot of endings that I didn't really enjoy this month. So I don't know, man, but I would recommend this to people that, I guess it's kind of a weird girl book. It's a weird girl fiction, you know. Next, I don't know why, I decided to read another book that I would classify as weird girl fiction. It is called Blob by Maggie Su. This book is, I tried to explain this, I think it was to my brother, and he was like, you read some weird shit. In this book, we are following FMC. FMC is a little bit aimless in life. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She's a concierge at a hotel where she doesn't take her job seriously, and she doesn't like her co-worker, and she doesn't like her boss. And she's still, I guess, mourning a breakup from a few months ago, and she constantly is thinking about this guy. But long story short, one day she's outside a club and she sees like this gelatinous blob on the ground, and for whatever reason decides to pick up this blob, bring it home with her, and she realizes that she can teach this blob and form this blob into her perfect boyfriend. What is she? I think she names him Bob. I think she names him Bob the Blob, which is really funny because my best friend's name is Bob. But anyway, so she tries to turn this blob into her perfect boyfriend. And this is another book that just kind of made me sad, because while he does not start as a human, he's still a creature. He still has feelings and he's still sentient, and the way that he's treated by the FMC in this book did make me very uncomfortable at some points. But I think this book is just about kind of finding your comfort. I don't know, like, I've read a lot of shit since I read this book, but I remember finishing it and thinking the FMC wasn't a good person. Like, she wasn't, you know, a ray of sunshine. She wasn't the best character, but she did feel real, and I enjoyed that about this book. Now, during, I think it was some of July and some of August, I was reading Nicole and Jemmy's anatomy book. So this little book is full of, what does it say? A catalogue of familiar, rare, and unusual pathologies. So that's exactly what it sounds like. This book is divided into letters of the alphabet. So we start at A, go all the way through to Z, and it just has photos and little case studies of weird pathologies that the author, Nicole and Jemmy, has come across in her years. This book was, for the most part, quite interesting. It did scare me a little bit because I did some research on getting my gallbladder removed, because I had my gallbladder taken out 4 years ago, I think. 4 or 5 years ago, and I ended up reading my discharge papers from when I left the hospital, and I was like, oh, it wasn't just like a standard gallbladder removal. My gallbladder was hemorrhaging. I did not know that until I looked at my discharge papers, and I wouldn't have looked at my discharge papers if I hadn't read this book, so that really freaked me out. I will say, very graphic imagery. Like, there are photos of like all the genitalia, people's bits and organs out on display, copious amounts of blood. Surprisingly, I was fine reading this book. I usually hate gross like blood stuff, but this book was fine for me. But if I was you, I would probably like just flip through it a little bit and suss out the vibes before you go picking it up. But it was very informative, because after I read it, I was like, did you guys know that when that happens, it's actually because of this? I became such a little medical nerd for a minute there. Next, I don't know why I decided, but I was still kind of missing that feeling of a proper reverse harem. Sick Boys didn't satisfy that need in me, so I decided to pick up a series because I owned the first 3 books and have since bought the 4th. It is the Vicious Lost Boys series by Nikki St. Croix. So I read all 4 books like within 4 days. So we've got the Never King, the Dark One, the Vicious Princess, pretty sure that said the Vicious Darling, but carry on, and the Fae Princes. This series is, people say that it's a Peter Pan retelling. It's not, it's a continuation of the original story. In this series, we are following Winnie Darling. She is like the current descendant of Wendy Darling. Basically, on their 18th birthday, all the Darling women are visited by Peter Pan, kidnapped, taken to Neverland, where whatever happens, we don't know what happens, and when the Darling women get dumped back at home, they are never the same. They're usually like insane. Usually they're like mentally broken. Something's happened to them. Book starts on Winnie's 18th birthday. Her mom is like, I'm not letting him take you. Lo and behold, he takes her. So Peter Pan flies Winnie to Neverland, where she meets the 2 Fae princes, Kaz and Bash, and where she also meets the Dark One. And so the Dark One is, his name is Vane. So those are the 4 boys in this little harem, little reverse harem. We've got Peter Pan, Vane, Bash, and Kaz. So we've got the 4 boys, and this entire series is basically surrounding Peter Pan's shadow and it being missing. But while the gang tries to search for his shadow, more things happen. And I will say, it is a very quick series. It is a very fun series. There was definitely love and feelings in this series that I didn't get from Sick Boys, so I enjoyed that personally. Like, I do love a little bit of an emotional connection as well as a physical one. I don't know if I'm going to read the companion series, because there is a series, I think it's maybe a duology, that follows like the crocodile and the actual Wendy Darling, but I don't know if I want to read it. I don't think I will. I think sometimes series just go on for too long and they need to be cut off at a certain point. So I think I am done with this world, but like I said, I did enjoy them. They were quite fun. They were a little bit frustrating. I really did not care about Cass and Bash by the last book, but Vane had my heart. So I did enjoy these books. I'm not sure who I would recommend them to. You probably. You watching? You should read them. No, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. For some reason, again, I don't know how I came up with these picks in August. I think I literally just looked at my shelves and was like, that book. The next one I picked up is Gothicana by Runex. Runex. This is the indie out of print copy of this book. This book I've heard is like a dark academia, gothic, dark romance, and this sounded like it should have been right up my tree, guys, and I don't know how to explain that this book wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't it for me. So in this book we are following Corvina. Corvina has had a weird life. Her mum's a bit weird, she's a bit weird, whatever. She gets invited to go to this school. She goes to the school. So there she meets a student slash professor. So he's studying, but he's also teaching. And his name is Vard. And I hated his name. The way it's spelt, V-A-D, I was like, oh, it's Vad. No, it's Vard, as in Vlad, without the L. Weird. Anyway, these two have a very... I wouldn't say insta love, it's more of like insta obsession. Like these two become very, very infatuated with each other very fucking quickly. And I don't know if this is a spoiler. I'm going to just tag it as a spoiler just in case. This book to me was screaming, there's something paranormal happening. No, just a mental health crisis. And I was so sad because like I started this book. There are some books, obviously, I go into a lot of books blind. I don't read up on every little detail of the book before I go into it. So there are some books, I'm not going to name names.
But I'm not going to name names, okay? Someone needs to be fired, but I'm not going to name names.
I'm not going to name names, but there are some books that I've gone into thinking it is a completely contemporary, straightforward, normal human book. And then there'll be like a dash of paranormal that I wasn't expecting. Or it'll be a book where it seems like it's paranormal, but is it actually? And then it turns out it isn't. But this was not good. I don't like that the plot twist, I guess, was that Corvina is mentally unwell. And the thing is, it's not even explained. By the end of this book, the actual, I think it's her psychologist or her psychiatrist, Corvina's mental health professional, says to Vard, I mean, I can't see anything like schizophrenia. Like, I can't see her having any mental illnesses I can diagnose. So when she hears voices, maybe it is ghosts. I don't understand. I don't understand. The writing style wasn't great. Look, it was a fun time. I was definitely there for like when Vard eventually admitted that he wanted her for more than her body, and he was like actually nice to her and acknowledged her and stopped trying to do the whole this is the last time this can happen. When he actually accepted that maybe he did like this girl, I was definitely in for their relationship. The ending to me completely fucking fell apart, because how are you gonna have a book like this and be like, oh, but there's nothing paranormal about it. Everything has a perfectly human, rational explanation. This book needed paranormal. I ranted about this book for quite some time now, so we're just gonna swiftly move along. But I just want you guys to know that I don't think anyone could predict that way that Gothicana was going to go. Not because it was such an amazing, like, crafted conundrum inside a puzzle, inside an enigma, just because it's just like, why? How did we get here? So anyway, the next book I read, I think it's because I borrowed this from the library. I put it on hold at my library and the audiobook finally came through. I read Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. I think it was also because I looked at my shelves and I realized that for someone who's like, Lynn Painter's my order by author, like I love Lynn Painter, I have not read as many of her books as I should have at this point in time. So I decided to pick this book up. I will be honest, not my favorite Lynn Painter book. I didn't dislike this book. Like, I think I still gave it a 4-star. It was fun. It was light rom-com vibes. I, for the most part, really enjoyed this book. There were just things at the very end with our MMC that annoyed me. Basically, this book follows FMC on her wedding day. She knows that her husband-to-be is cheating, so she hires MMC to object to her wedding. Like, does anyone here have any reason to believe these people should not be wed? And if you do, speak now or forever hold your peace. He objects. He is the objector. He gets paid to go to people's weddings and object with, like, one of their permissions, to basically end the marriage before the wedding, if that makes sense. To end the marriage before they get married. And he does that on FMC's wedding day, and she's really grateful, and like, it's all good vibes. And then a few months later, he's like, look, I have to do another job. Like, I have to go object at another wedding, and I think you should come with me because I think we could be a really good team. So they work together as people that object at other people's weddings. And that was all very well and good. At the end, MMC does the thing I hate, where an ex will come back into the picture, and for some reason, where the MMCs forget how to be decent human beings. I think it happened in an Emily Henry book. Was it Beach Read? I think it was Beach Read. It's like everything is going so well between the two main characters, and then an ex will show up and they just lose their goddamn minds. Like, oh my god, they've reached out. Oh my god, my ex. I forgot about my ex. Oh my god, this changes everything. And it really annoys me. I really hated that part of the book because, what's his name? Max. I really liked Max up until the end. And then it happened and he just acted like a little fucking freak, and I didn't like it as much anymore. So not my favorite Lynn Painter. I've had actually, you know what, we're not going to talk about it in this video, but next month in my September wrap up, you will see I've had some issues with Lynn Painter lately, which was really sad. The next book I read, I wanted to give this book a whole video of its own. I'm just too goddamn lazy to do it. I think I might before the next book comes out. We'll discuss. I decided to pick up Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but this book was originally a Draco Hermione fanfiction. It was called The Auction. Ding, the cover here, and let's just discuss. Okay, let's talk about this as its own piece of work, right? Okay, so this book, we have got two like neighboring kingdoms, except one of them is a kingdom and one of them is a government. Our main character, Bryony, she is the princess of the Southern Kingdom. So she's the princess, her brother Rory is the king, okay? Then in the north you have got the Bombardi, and they have like a government system, like a leader, but then they've got the second in charge and like the third in charge and the fourth in charge, and they've got a whole like hierarchy, whereas in the south the Eversons have a kingdom, like a royal family. Anyway, this book starts on a day that Bryony's twin brother Rory is destined to end the war between these two different factions. Lo and behold, Rory dies. Oops, that wasn't what was supposed to happen. And all the women of Everson are basically kidnapped by the Bombardi and taken away to a dungeon. And Bryony happens to be one of these women. She finds out that her magic has been stripped, she is to be sterilized, and then she's going to be sold in an auction to the highest bidder, which is really fucking great. Like, doesn't that sound so fun? Lo and behold, she ends up getting bought by her like high school rival. His name's Tobin, and he is a sweetie pie in his own way. He is obviously meant to be Draco Malfoy, but in this, yeah, Tobin purchases her, and this whole book kind of follows Bryony and Tobin navigating this like owner-slave relationship while also having a little bit of a history with each other because they did go to high school together. And I'm just gonna say it out there, I'm just gonna put it into the universe. I fucking loved this book. So I loved this book. Now, what I was going to say is, I got to the chapter where Bryony is in the dungeon with a bunch of other women who are to be auctioned off, and I was like, I think I've read this scene before, but I've never read the auction. Like, I never read the fanfiction The Auction. Or did I? Right? Then I also had a thought, because I was telling my brother about this book, and I was like, how much has Julie Soto had to change from The Auction to Rose in Chains? Like, did she... I don't know how to explain it. Like, how long was the original fanfiction like? Could she have just copy and pasted, added some details and changed some names, or was this an entire, like, rewrite, basically? FYI, it's an entire rewrite. So I did go back, I found a copy of The Auction online, it was a PDF. I'm not going to spread it, so I don't think it matters that I have it. I found it on Reddit, I mean, go buy this book. Go buy this book, because this book is fucking amazing. So if I was you, I would just fucking go purchase it. But I did want to see how much it changed, so I tried to read the auction. Now, I did get up to the part in the dungeons, and I'm thinking that's probably where I must have gotten up to last time, because I've convinced myself that I must have tried to read the auction, but didn't like it enough and quit at around like the part where they're in the dungeons. And that's exactly the same thing that happened this time. I got up to the part where they're in the dungeons, and I'm not trying to throw any shade because I like love this book. Like, this book was a 6-star for me. Like, fucking loved this book. The auction was not well written, guys. And I get it. Like, everyone, like, a lot of us wrote fanfiction when we were teenagers, and it was very like self-insert, you know, but it was just not great. The auction, I'm very glad that she rewrote this beautiful piece of literature. Yeah, the auction was not good. Like, I wanted to entirely read the auction to compare everything. I can't do it, so yeah. I mean, I guess that's just praise for like how far she's come as an author. Like, to go from the auction to this is bananas. But yes, I would highly recommend this book. And I did tell my brother, in case you guys were wondering, I did tell him, I was like, I don't think, like, there are things in this, if you know it's a Draco Hermione fanfiction, there are things in this you can be like, obviously that's taken directly from Harry Potter. Like, oh, the one prophesied to end the war actually dies on the day that he's supposed to save the world. Like, obviously there are references and things that you could definitely compare to Harry Potter. However, like, the magic system is quite different. The country, the landscape, the characters, and it's so different from Harry Potter, thank the Lord. And I loved it. I really fucking loved this book. I don't know how I'm going to manage to wait until the next book comes out, but I do have like 7 pages of notes on this book. So instead of having to reread the first book, which I might do anyway because I really did enjoy it, but I have also got notes that I can just read if I need a quick refresher. Moving along, I then picked up The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. This was a reread because this was my book club's August pick of the month, and I forgot a lot about The Housemaid. I knew how it started. I knew that Millie is the housemaid, and I knew the reveal and what happened at the end, but I forgot how much stuff happened to get us to the end. So I did give this, I think it's a 4-star. Upon reread, it's a 4-star. I definitely gave it 5 the first time, but I've read a lot of other thrillers since then, and this was like still good, still fun, but just wasn't amazing. I will say, I did not remember the part at the end where it's kind of like we get an explanation about one of the characters' behaviors, and I didn't like that because, you know, sometimes people are just bad. I don't think every person needs to have like a sob story, but we got that in this, and I didn't ask for it. The general consensus at the book club was that this book was really fun, but a lot of people, myself included, were like, Millie made some choices. She definitely made some choices. And I want to throw out the fact that I don't know how long this book takes place over. Because I said to one of the girls, there is a part, I'm not going to say like exactly what, because maybe someone out there hasn't read this book, but there's a part where Millie says something like, well, that's not the person I fell in love with. And I said to the girls, I'm like, how long did this book take place over? Like, how long was Millie working at that house? And I think it was Erin, she's like, oh, I assumed like maybe 2 months. And I thought maybe a month, maybe longer than a month, I guess. But then I said to the girls, I'm like, where are we pulling these? This isn't the person I fell in love with. When did you fall in love? Did I miss that chapter? So anyway, it was fun talking shit about this book, but I still love it. Like, it's got such a high nostalgia factor for me, so. But I'm not rereading the second and third book. I will not do that to myself, guys. Next, I picked up Annibot by Sierra Greer. This was for my last Goodreads achievement of the season, so I picked it up. And again, very similar to Earthlings, I would say, and maybe a little bit similar to Blob. This book mostly just made me sad. We are following Annie. Annie is a robot girlfriend, and her boyfriend slash owner, not a great guy. Like, he's not the worst guy, but he's certainly not the best. And this book just made me so sad for Annie, because Annie has this like yearning of not wanting to be human, but she wants to grow, she wants to learn, she wants to keep her owner Doug really, really happy, and she tries to make sure that like his life is perfect, and she'll do whatever she can to make sure his life is perfect. But he is just like, if there was ever an example of a human that needs therapy, Doug is that example. And eventually Annie, I mean, spoilers maybe, Annie tries to leave the situation, and things kind of get a bit hectic from there. This, yeah, it made me really sad, and I think the end was a little bit too quick. I think I needed like at least the last 20 or 30 pages to be what ended up just being 5. Like the last 5 pages are what I needed, but I needed it a lot sooner. So I still enjoyed this book. I'm still gonna keep it. I would recommend it. Especially if you're like a Black Mirror girly or a Twilight Zone girly, or if you really liked Companion, or if you really liked Blob. So I mean, it's a lot of people could read this book and enjoy it. Yeah, there was like a certain amount of emotion at the end that should have been, in my personal opinion, should have been introduced a little bit earlier in the book. Instead, it's like a quick rush of emotion in the last 5 pages. But I mean, I still enjoyed it. This video is going to be half an hour long. How? Only 2 more books to go. Then I picked up Homes Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. Now, this was an alternative for Annie-Bot, but I ended up reading it anyway because I had the audiobook. This book was fine. It was fine. It follows 3 siblings after the death of their mother. They are all estranged. Like, one of them is a super successful bro, one of them is an addict, and one of them is kind of like just floating through life, like not really doing much. And 3 of them are reunited, and they kind of like watch some old home videos and like go through their mum's stuff together and realize that their parents might have been keeping quite the big secret from them their entire lives. But with no parents present, what are they to do? This book was quick, it was a bit fun, it was a little bit ridiculous by the end, but it definitely made more sense to me than the first book I read by Geneva Rose, which was You Shouldn't Have Come Here. That book was ridiculous. This book wasn't ridiculous. It just wasn't great. Like, it was fine. It just wasn't great. It's literally like if Colleen Hoover wrote thrillers. We're not talking about Verity or Layla. If she wrote like thrillers, this would definitely be like a Coho sort of book. So I don't know if I'd recommend it. I mean, why not? If you've just got nothing else to read and you just want something fun, or like you just need a filler book, why not? Why not read it? And then, guys, I decided to end the month with what has now turned into a really, really bad idea. So I reread Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I remember loving this book when I first read it, gave it 5 stars. So I was very excited to reread it in anticipation of finally picking up the sequel, Nothing Like the Movies. Okay? This book, still so fucking cute. Still gave this book 5 stars. I loved this book. Wouldn't change a single fucking thing. I think both the characters are very realistic teenagers who have an idea of what they want, but like their feelings say otherwise, and they're just like, no, I'm just gonna ignore my gut feeling and go with my head, which ends up being wrong. Loved this book. Would highly recommend this book. Spoiler for my September wrap-up. I did read the sequel, Nothing Like the Movies. Don't read the sequel, guys. Do not read the sequel. I looked up some of the reviews of the sequel on Goodreads before I started it, and the first like couple of reviews, 2 stars, 1 star, 2 star, that all said, if you enjoy Better Than the Movies, if you have any appreciation and any love for Better Than the Movies, do not read the sequel. I ignored all those reviews. I read the sequel, and I wish I didn't. So, yeah. Oh my gosh, books everywhere. So, thanks for sticking it out with me. I didn't think I was actually going to film this video. I was like, yeah, don't worry, we're just going to do an August wrap-up. I'm glad that I did. I think I needed to. Just to talk my feelings out about books, you know? Yeah, there will probably be a weekend reading vlog up. I don't know if it's coming out before or after this video. Who the fuck knows? I just make things up as I go. But spoilers, my book club book of the month for September is The Wedding People, and I'm so glad because the alternatives were not good. I'm so glad the majority of people voted for The Wedding People, because if 4 more people had voted for the other book, I was going to just not read the book and not go to the meeting. So I'm really glad that that didn't happen. Anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing September. We're getting real close to spooky season, guys. Actually, my reading vlog, weekend reading vlog, when it does come out, before or after this video, will have some cute Halloween-y stuff that I picked up from TK Maxx for spook season. I'm getting a bit excited, so just thought you should know. Anyway, I will see you guys later.